Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is Global Reality Radio Network. Welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being with us here tonight for another late night Moonbat edition of the broadcast. And it is Thursday, December the 29th, 2011, now into Friday, December the 30th, 2011. Glad you could be with us here tonight for another late night Moonbat edition of the broadcast. And, you know, it's been over the holidays and whatnot, we have, you know, kind of the news cycles are pretty slow. Now, with elections coming up in 2012, we've got a lot of the news cycle stuff going towards that. And I really tried to been sticking only to the to the saga of the Ron Paul stuff because it's insane. I was started my show 2007, right? Right in the heart of when Ron Paul mania was really going crazy, and in those early days before I really had all the connections on the CMP and whatnot, I was still kind of in that mindset and in that world as a lot of people were, and so that was what a lot of the shows around that time revolved around, was talking about what was going on with the Ron Paul campaign. So I had assumed or had it in my head that this go round. Even though I was pretty positive there was going to be something going on with concerning Ron Paul, some sort of massive operation concerning, armed conflict and this kind of thing. I couldn't honestly predict that I would there would be a reason for me to still cover those things, because of course, the stuff with Ron Paul coincides exactly with the stuff that I've covered over the past almost 5 years with researching the Council for National Policy and other secretive right-wing groups that are controlled by the priest class and the much larger control grid that control the whole thing, all the other subgroups and everything else. So it's amazing to me that despite being in the position of not being caught up in any of this phony politics, I still get caught up talking about this stuff because of what they've been bringing out with this white supremacist stuff, and it's really cognitive dissonance, like I talked about last night with the whole the whole confusion between how a person can support the phony state of Israel and be a complete supporter of that, but still be anti-Jew. And it's like people have been so brainwashed into thinking that Jew is a race, not a religion, when it's a and so when they hear these things said about Ron Paul, they can't process it because they're too stupid to know what these terms and definitions really mean anyway. So I didn't know if I was going to do a show tonight because just wasn't really a lot of material. But played some tunes, stuck it out. The chat room's pretty lively tonight. Big shout out to everybody in the chat room hanging out at theglobalreality.com. That is my website where this broadcast originates from. Chat room's over there. Everybody's hanging out over there at the chat room tonight. So big shout out and thanks to everybody in there. It's getting Moonbatty with me here tonight for the broadcast. We do have some stories. We do have some news. So we'll do that. And we'll also love to have emails. If you want to send in emails during the show tonight, if you've got questions, you got comments, we had one gentleman in there. You can take our chat room, but you'll never take our freedom. Sons of Scotland. Yeah, he was had quite a few questions, but yeah, you can. If you don't catch me in the chat room, I'm not always in there, and I don't always have time to chat and talk as much as I'd like to. But yeah, you always shoot me an email, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. I'll do my best to answer any questions you might have, answer those on air for you. Love to get in the emails, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. Love to have them live here tonight. If you get any in while I'm live during the show tonight, I will read them on air and answer your questions. globalrealityshow@gmail.com. Don't forget, this is our fundraising week right here in the holidays. And this is our fundraising week this week. We got closer today. Big shout out to Mud Puppy giving us a nice boost today, getting a lot closer to our goal. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Mud Puppy. And we're about $300 away from meeting our goal for the bills paid for the month. So we got to have that earlier this time because the first falling on a Sunday. So you got to have checks and stuff like that in before certain dates. Yeah, it's kind of a pain in the ass, really. But that's the way it is. So that's why we had to do it this way this time, and we will start doing it that way on certain dates when when things have to be in before a certain time. It doesn't happen every month, but some months it does happen, and you got to keep up with that. So we'll be probably ending with the chipping banners to coincide with that. So yeah, so we're $300 away. If we can get that by tomorrow, get the bills to pay, we'll be all good. And we appreciate everybody out there who continues to support our work and what we do here. We are also, I got behind on shipping of the DVDs. I've been working on that all week, but I didn't have all the data discs done. And I started going through and realizing that I have a lot more data discs to give you fuckers than I thought I did. We had a lot of, the majority of people that ordered our DVD at this point were pre-orders. We've had a lot fewer straight up orders since the DVDs have gone on sale than we have pre-orders. So, do I ship internationally? I'll ship anywhere in the world, man. Yeah, that's the whole thing with the pricing of the DVDs and the Blu-rays this time. Before I had to charge shipping and I had to shipping and all that. Now what I've done, when you go look at the price, that's the price. That's how much you pay. That's it. Even if it's international, whatever. Yeah. So the DVD prices, that's why they reflect that, so that's why it's $20 for a CD or $30 for a Blu-ray, because that price is including your shipping. So, I found that, generally, charging, it's generally somewhere between, I don't know, but $5 or $10. It's a little bit more when I have to do it, but I've got, I'm shipping right now, I'm shipping a few to Canada. Got some Canadians. Got a lot of Canadian listeners shipping some to Canada. Mostly it's U.S., but I've seen one that's going to I think Sweden or something like that. One's going the Netherlands. Can't remember. But anyway, I had to get all these the data discs prepared because all you guys that pre-ordered are getting like the deluxe package. You're getting the only thing you're not getting if you pre-ordered is the soundtrack disc, but you're getting everything else. Got a sticker in there. You got the DVD in there, and you've got the research pack. What I've called the research pack, and what that is, it's a 4.2 gig DVD data disc that goes in your computer. Don't put it in your DVD player. It's not going to work. Well, I mean, I guess some DVD players might work on, but I don't know. Anyway, it's a data disc. It's intended to be used in a computer, and it's 4.2 gigs, so there's all kinds of extended clips, uncut clips that are in the film. Virtually my entire picture archive from this film. And a whole bunch of videos, some other different stuff in there that you'll like, a bunch of goodies, and it'll expand, it'll expand what you've taken away from the film. It'll give you things to go and dig around in and look at on your own. And quick note on those research packs. I had a lot of people who wanted me to autograph a lot of these CDs and these DVDs and stuff when I was sending them out. I just don't have time to go through and personally autograph each one. We had two people who donated $100 on our 11/11/11 broadcast, and they got Blu-rays for that donation and autographed Blu-rays, and those are going to be sent out as well. We've already got those boxed up and ready to go. But some of the data discs, a random number of the data discs are coming signed by me, autographed by me. So a lot of you people who pre-ordered, who are getting your free research pack, some of you guys are going to get a autographed research pack disc, and some of you will not. But anyway, there you go. And you also get a sticker, you get the DVD, and you get the research pack. So it's and you can order those research packs now, even if you didn't pre-order. You can go to my website right now. There's a tab up there now that says Buy SR2. Buy SR2. It's right next to the documentary tab. You can buy the DVD there for $20, the Blu-ray for $30. All those prices include shipping. The DVD Blu-ray combo, you'll get the Blu-ray and the DVD. And I'm telling you, the Blu-ray disc, the DVD's great. You will enjoy the film, but my God, you have to see it in Blu-ray. It's fucking amazing. I'm like, wow, I made this. It just looks fantastic. So the DVD Blu-ray combo is $40. Research pack, DVD and data, DVD for the computer, that's $30. And I don't have a lot of stickers though, so the stickers are going to be first come first serve, unless because they cost me a fuck ton to get those. They're like $1 a piece or something like that. You know, to buy. Yeah, there's I got like 100, and they were like $100. So, but they're nice, high quality stickers that you can put on things. So yeah, it'll be awesome. I mean, maybe people out there start putting them on their cars, and we'll get, you know, at least one car and a whole bunch of fucking cities all over the place with a Global Reality sticker on it, or go put it somewhere, you know, somewhere where it's going to be seen. That's another thing I'd like to do. I'd like to have a contest and see who can take a sticker and put it in the most amazing place and take a picture of it. Yeah, but you can get the research packs there. You can also get the DVD pack that had the deluxe pack, which has the soundtrack CD and the data DVD, and you can also get a Blu-ray version of that. Those are all up there. Shipping and handling is included in the price. Please allow 2 to 4 weeks for delivery, and those are up there. TheGlobalReality.com right now. And so if you want to see the full Tilt Boogie, man, you know, you've seen an hour, and some of you have seen the other 49 minutes I put up there for a short period of time. But it's 2 hours and 48 minutes, and if you want to see the full Tilt Boogie, that's where you go and get it at. And it's not going to be available on online for quite some time. So please go there and order that and help us get that out. And also, I'm going to be putting up stuff for the well, I'm going to submit pretty soon. I'm going to submit, when I have the money, the $37 to the distributor place to see about getting the movie up on Netflix, iTunes, and Dish Network. So supposedly you pay the $37. If they approve it, then you have to pay $3,000. But $3,000 gets you up on those three things: Dish Network, Netflix, and iTunes. And then you don't have to pay any royalties after that. So that's the cool thing. So no matter what you sell or how many you sell once it gets up there, when you pay the $3,000 up front, you don't have to pay any royalties to iTunes or anything else. You get 100% of what you sell. So that's pretty rad. And that'll help. I mean, that'll just be huge. That'll reach so many, I mean, millions of people, folks. It'll take what we're doing here to a whole other level, probably to a level where we probably will be getting more than what we need every month to get by and do what we need to do here. That's what I'm really looking at this as. And now I've crunched the numbers on it. And from what I've looked at, that's, you know, that's indeed a possibility. But, you know, I mean, that's just how everything is now. Everything is pay to play, man. Everything. And maybe it always has been. But it is definitely the dominant thing in all markets. It's that way. We've discovered it's that way in the band, the Demigods. I mean, it's, you know, you can get, dude, you can get your song on every radio station in the fucking world or in the country, every top 40 Clear Channel radio station. You can get one of your songs on there tomorrow. $7,000 right now. And that's one play. But one play on every major clear channel radio station in the United States, fuck, dude. That's, yeah, I mean, that's going to, that's going to get you something. But that's how it is. Everything's paid. Gigs are paid for play now. You want to be a part of a gig or a music festival, you have to pay to play. Not you go and play and they pay you like it's supposed to be. And so that, I found that with this film stuff, it's the same way, man. And that's why there are producers. There's two different kinds of producers. A lot of people get this confused. There are producers who produce music and pretty much steer the recording process and bring that to life. Then there are producers who are financiers, essentially. Producers who provide the financial ability for projects to be able to happen. And so that's essentially what it takes to do something on that sort of a level where you're getting things on. That's why films have big budgets, because in order for your film to get into to be seen, to be reached, you got to spend the cash. So I'm going to put up a chipping banner for that, probably around the 1st, that we'll have up to try and get that going. I'm just going to get the $37 thing going, and then once I figure out that if it gets approved and they accept that, and I'll put a chipping banner up after that. But I think it's a big thing. I think it's something I should definitely go for on this film, because I think this film certainly it has the look where it could be up there. And I think right now is the time to strike while the iron's hot, because, right now with everything going on in the elections and a lot of this Ron Paul stuff being high profile and it becoming a lot more obvious to a lot more people every single day that they are indeed trying to instigate a new civil war in this country. For that to be out there on iTunes, to be reached people in a big way, and people being able to put it on their iPhones and their iPads and everything, and reaching people on Netflix, which is just huge, and everybody has stuff on Netflix, and that's the whole thing is that, if you tell somebody to watch one of my films, and you don't, and sometimes even if you hand them a physical copy, it's a 50-50 chance that person may or may not watch that film when you hand it to them. If it's somebody and they're into this stuff, then okay, the chances are better they're probably going to watch it, but still they may not. But if you tell somebody, hey, you need to check out this documentary, it's on Netflix, and everybody's into fucking Netflix, man, everybody in the fucking dog. The chances that individual is going to check out the film that you're suggesting to them is probably going to increase. And it's probably going to increase whether or not they think the information is credible and go check it out for themselves and do their own research and then start telling other people about that. There is going to be an added air of legitimacy to that, because people have this thing in their head where they think, oh, well, if it's on Netflix, it's got to be pretty mainstream. Well, they let fucking Alex Jones videos be up there and Loose Change, all this other stuff, right? So again, that's one of those examples that I've talked about over the past several weeks and months about using the illusion, using the illusion to your advantage. And I think that's a prime example of it right there, because it's just one of those things, man. It's the truth. People think because something's on television that it gives it more legitimacy than something that's on the internet. It's just a part of the programming. It's part of, and everybody buys into that. But what I'm saying is, I believe that by getting my film up on Netflix and iTunes, that we'll be able to use that illusion for our advantage, because again, it's just a thing, man. People, if you see something on iTunes or Netflix that just, they think that it has a more credibility. Oh, well, must be pretty mainstream. So they watch that. And when they see that the information is not like, this milquetoast towing the line bullshit. I mean, we could have a chance here of really, really reaching some people with the CRI Volume 2. so that's sort of that's one of my immediate goals for 2012 is to get that. Also, one of my other goals is to get going on the next film. So I'm in the planning and prepping phases for that because I'm really ready to dive into that. And I've got a buddy of mine wants to help out, and I got a bunch of other people that want to help out and throw in to do stuff. So it looks like I'm going to have a team of people who are going to be willing to get out there and go out in the field with me and go look at stuff and shoot footage and, really dig in deep on this. So that's exciting. And, I want to continue to do music and all that stuff to try and get the message out in whatever form that takes on. And just continue to be here and document my journey in all of this and learning all this stuff and it's an amazing thing, man. I feel just more and more every day. I'm just thankful for the opportunity to be in the position that I am to be able to do some things that are exciting and are necessary and are really they have the possibility of turning a lot of things up on their head. I mean, we don't have time to pussyfoot around this stuff anymore, man. We got to turn people on their fucking heads, shake them up, shake them down, make the stuff fall out, make the stuff fall out of their pockets. And that's why I want to get into, going out and documenting and talking about these and getting some footage of these different ancient archaeological sites. They're buried all over the United States, buried right here in my own backyard, buried probably in your backyard. That people, because, there's just with the ones I know about, there's a whole fuckload more all over the United States where that I haven't even heard about yet. God, that would be ideal, if there was no ceiling, if I had, if this was this next film was going to be produced by, a film studio or something, man. Because it'd be awesome to have a travel van to go or something to go around in and go around all over the United States and go to these different sites and document that and put all the information into it, all shot like that. That'd be fantastic. I do want to travel to some places, but that'd be amazing because there's lots more. I know there's a place up there. Lee was telling me about it. Lee Rogers was telling me there's a place up there in New Hampshire where he lives. And they call it the American Stonehenge. I don't know a lot about it. You guys can look it up. It's called I think you just type in American Stonehenge. It's in New Hampshire. But Lee was telling me about that. It's some kind of weird rock formation that was put there by somebody a long ass time ago, obviously. But there's just tons of stuff like that all over the place. I know there's been a lot of contention about the Mayan ruin thing that was found in Atlanta, in Georgia, rather. We talked about that last week, last week, I believe we talked about that. There's been a lot of contention about that because people have been coming out and saying it's bullshit. And then one of the writers said it's bullshit. And it was put out in the Examiner. And I started looking into it on my own. It seemed to me that what was going on, it was a classic case of something that they didn't really want it to get out what exactly it was. But they kept saying it was Incan or it's a Maya or something like that, and not really Mayan or something. But regardless of that, and the guy who was bringing it out seemed to be, I don't know, he seemed to be kind of one of these New Ager coast to coast AM types. So I don't know if there's any legitimacy to that. But my point is that we've seen the same thing. They've done the same thing to the rock wall, folks. They've heard the scientific community says the rock wall is a natural sandstone dike formation. There's no fucking way. You could see the footage. It's online, and I hope to have better quality footage than that in the film on this. But folks, the stones are made of geopolymers. They're polymer. They brought crystals from whoever built this thing. Took crystals from 3 different places, 3 different locations, not indigenous to this area, and then blended them together to make the individual stones for the wall. They found insane, off-the-charts geomagnetic anomalies that a lot of scientists who've analyzed it won't even talk about or publish their findings until after they're dead. Monogram stones, triangular-shaped monogram stones on the ends of these walls. artifacts, shark teeth embedded in the outside of it. Sand dollars at the bottom at where the blue shale is. When they got all the way, they dug all the way down to the bottom where the base of the wall was, they got down to the blue shale. And when they got down to the blue shale, there was fresh sand dollars down there, folks, with fresh meat in them, not petrified. Now, that would have to mean that there was ocean or sea right here in my backyard in North Texas near Dallas, a lot more recent in history than we've been led to believe. They found the skeletons of giants around this area that went off to some college and then disappeared, never to be seen again. Yeah. I've experienced strange things around that area. Me and my buddy grew up all around that area our whole lives. I grew up, 15 miles from there. And, we experienced lost time. Buddy experienced lost time one time right on the bridge where the epicenter of this thing is. Another time we were near the power plant that's near where that thing is, and we got hit by some energy or some entity and completely blacked out. And then pretty much shit ourselves and was wound up in a Waffle House crying our eyes out. Two grown men crying their eyes out because we just got fucked with or hit by some energy. So there's something out there in Rockwall, folks, and me and my friends that grew up, it stretches all the way out damn near to where I grew up in this little small town. And what's funny, in this little small town, I mean, there was only like 30 or 35 people in our class. You're talking about small, man. You couldn't date in this high school because it was like incest. I had to farm my chicks out from other towns, dude. Gross. I mean, really. But everybody had a UFO story, Everybody's parents had UFO stories out there, or weird things. Everybody had seen, something, anomalous lights. John Lindsay, the architect who did the dig in '99, talked about how the trajectory of the wall is at the same trajectory that Cape Canaveral is, meaning it's at the perfect latitude and longitude for easy entry into space. You can't just launch these willy nilly to get into space. You have to be at certain. Well, it's a perfect trajectory. Well, what's interesting with that wall being 20 miles in diameter, when they did the dig, John Lindsay told me, I mean, he described this to me face to face, that when they had the digger, the big tractor, big, dirt digger on top of the wall, that it started to vibrate and shake, and this caterpillar was shaking like it was about to take off, have to lift off and just fly off. And he said that the wall has piezoelectrical properties to it. And that's because of those crystals. So, this thing being 20 miles in diameter and that thing being at the perfect trajectory for launch into space, and the fact that they found giant skeletons around there and all these, ancient old artifacts. One article from the Rockwall newspaper talked about them finding in this giant temple room, I believe, where the old Rockwall courthouse is. The new one they just built looks like fucking Solomon's Temple. It's the most sadistic thing I've seen in a while. And it's located smack dab on one of the rock rooms of the wall. But the Rockwall newspaper describes some gentleman who went in one of these caves and found these two black marble pillars that shone like the Orient. Now, I've read about those black marble pillars in Manly P. Hall's work before, and he refers to those as being from the time of Atlantis, from Atlantis itself. And that's what I believe the rock wall is. I believe that it's Aslan, Atlantis. I believe it was created and built by Quetzalcoatl, who is said to have built Aslan or Atlantis. Aslan means Atlantis in Spanish. But he was a master at two things. He was a master at crystal working. He was a master at metallurgy. And so we have the evidence for the crystal working there and the piezoelectrical properties and all that. And we also have the evidence that he was into, said that he was a master of metallurgy. Well, I held an artifact that came out of the wall in my hand that was an iron wheel that's dated to be over 5,000 years old, which was smelted together using copper, aluminum, iron, tin, a whole bunch of other metals. Now, who was smelting stuff like that 5,000 years ago, folks? Come on. So I think because it seems to have multiple purposes. It seemed that it seemed to be a dwelling or a city, but I also think that this whole entire rock wall structure also may have doubled as a launching pad for a ship. I think these fuckers crashed here a long ass time ago. I mean, the estimates on the wall, how old it is, date as far back as 45 to 50 million years. That puts humans on this planet a lot farther back than the history books tell us it now, doesn't it? But I think these fuckers crashed, and they just did like everybody else did. They found some indigenous people, some indigenous Indians. They set themselves up as gods. They built this civilization for the people to dwell in, and they just waited. And they waited out their time, and they let this civilization grow, and they propped themselves up as gods and got these people to build, gave them the knowledge to build what they needed to build, and gave them a dwelling, which doubled it not only as a dwelling, but a seawall in a takeoff pad. And there's another one very similar to it, apparently, down not too far from Austin, about 150 miles exactly from where Rockwall is. And this is down in an area where, well, a couple of years ago, I went to this Sumerian ritual out in the middle of nowhere, out in near Buffalo, Texas, which subsequently, by the way, in Buffalo, Texas, a strange individual lives there, Tom Araya, the lead singer for the band Slayer. And I swear we went by his ranch. I saw it was like had A's on it and stuff for Araya. It was like this big ranch. I was like, man, I know that's his place. But there's this land out there where they have these Sumerian rituals. I got invited. It's like invitation only. I got invited with Delphi and Jamie. Went out there a couple years ago. And, it was mostly like, I went out there really for the journalistic aspect of it, to really just kind of see, what kind of community it was and whatnot. Because generally not really I don't really, hang out in different circles or pagans or stuff like that. I have a bunch of friends that are pagans, but, I went to go check it out. And, it was pretty cool. I had fun. But, I really expected people to be, none of these people even knew anything about, they were doing Sumerian rituals, like the ritual for Inanna and all this stuff. And I was sitting there talking about Sumerian stuff. They didn't even know what the fuck I was talking about. And I was kind of like, oh man, that's kind of lame, They're just like weekend warrior pagans who want to, get away from the hubby and have an excuse to come be promiscuous in the woods for a weekend. And, claim that and they all talk about, and then all going to talk about how they hate Christianity every minute. And they're so anti-Christianity, but yet they're participating in these rituals that were the roots of Christianity, and they didn't see that. And so it's just kind of like, man, that's kind of lame. But I had fun, it was an experience. And anytime you get an experience, it's always fun, especially when you get to do it with friends and, people you like hanging out with. That's even better. Oh man, they took my shirt off and ran and rubbed fucking. It was crazy. They rubbed, what's that shit? Belladonna. There's some shit. Yeah, like they rubbed like belladonna and all this shit, and they like initiated me, and they like it was hot chicks. It was like boobies. It was rad. They took a bunch of chicks took my shirt off and rubbed fucking belladonna all over me, and like Vicks Vapo rub shit, dude, and like. And like just rubbed titties all over me, and then made me dance around the fucking bonfire until they got tired. But it was great, as I have to say. But anyway, we come to find out this second wall formation that I've discovered that 150 miles from Rockwall, and was reported in like 1909 by the New York Times as being even thicker. It's same size as the rock wall, but like 20 miles in diameter, the same as the one in Rockwall, Texas. So that's that's a pretty good sign that what we've read is true about these guys, that these, whoever these visitors were, these extraterrestrials, Anunnaki, whatever, Nephilim, whatever they were, they really seriously were going around and just setting up shop everywhere. They were just going around and setting themselves up as gods. But anyway, it's just, there's all of this. There's all this stuff. And I talked about this last night. If we had access to all the information that's being kept from us, the questions that we all have about why is our society such shit, and why do we do the things that we do in this world, those questions would be answered very quickly, and the answers to those solutions would present themselves almost immediately. But the fact of the matter is that they control the information, they control what we know, and so by doing that, they control single-handedly the process of our development as a species. But be clear about this. It is the restriction of information, 100%. That is what is keeping this world the way it is. Do you think that look at this? I mean, look at how we live. There is no excuse for any person to be homeless or to go hungry or, to not have access to information or to have the right to do what they want to do with their lives. All of that can only happen in the way that it's happening because somebody somewhere wants it to be that way. Because if they didn't, it wouldn't be there. We would have already changed it by now. So that's, that's the whole thing. That's why we have to keep pushing for the information. And, it really starts to make you wonder what they know about what is under the United States. Because if these things that we're talking about, these different hidden societies and these ancient things that had high technology, I mean, you got to think, if we know about that, then other countries know about it too. And if it's big enough, I mean, my God, why do you think China has bought up all of our debt for years and years and years? You understand, China has pyramids that most people don't even know about. They're not talked about. They're not publicized. But they have pyramids in China that they have been planting trees on now for years to cover up. And they will not allow anybody to document them. They won't allow anybody to do any sort of excavations or archaeological digging or anything else at all. Period. End of story. But if we took China out, or somebody took China out, well, number one, you'd have jobs in the United States of America. Yeah, that's number one thing everybody'd be happy about. But you'd also have the ability to be able to go in there and see what's in those pyramids that they've been hiding and planting trees on to cover up. Now, on the flip side of that, if some other country had information about things that we may have here, the famous channeler Ashiana Dean was asked a question about the rock wall in a channeling session, and she said, or whoever this entity is that she channeled, said it was an ancient storehouse for ancient alien technology that went back to the time of Atlantis. There's that Atlantis connection again. Now, you might call bullshit on that until you realize that one of these underground rock rooms that's been located over the past 10, 11 years, just in the past year or two, L3, which is a division of British Aerospace, the second biggest outsourcer to the CIA and Pentagon next to Brown and Root, KBR, built one of their big facilities on top of one of these locations. Oh, just conveniently, just by accident. A weapons manufacturer just happens to build one of their facilities on top of one of these rock rooms where allegedly alien technology after the fall of Atlantis was stored. Now, I didn't put this in the film, but I may put this in a later. I've been contemplating, and I think I may at some point I may do it. It's just too soon right now for me to think about it, so I can't say I will or won't yet. Because I'm just really this movie, The Fresh, it's just still fresh. It's just still, I just made it. It's still, you know what I mean? It's new. The idea of even changing or doing anything into it right now is just preposterous to me. But at some point, I believe I probably in the next 6 or 7 months will probably get a wild hair up my ass and want to do a director's cut. And one of the things that I may put in this director's cut that I didn't put in this because, well, for just for the sheer fact of there's really no way to prove it. It's just, it's really just conjecture, but allegedly the story is that JFK, when he came to Dallas on November 22nd, 1963, after he went on the scheduled parade route, which was scheduled to end at the International Trade Mart in Dallas, where he was going to give a speech. Allegedly, at this speech, he was allegedly going to reveal the existence of extraterrestrials based on some artifacts and things that were found just outside of Dallas. That supposedly was what the trip to Dallas was really all about. And, when you look at those connections that I put in the Secret Right Volume 2 to Kennedy and the real Kennedy conspirators, and you think about those Kennedy conspirators and the people that, have covered that up for years and years, and put out all this disinfo. It's funny, those same type of people like Alex Jones and others tell you not to look into extraterrestrials and stuff like that, huh? And then you think about the John Birch Society and the Hunts paying for those wanted for treason posters the night before the shootings. But it's funny because Lake Ray Hubbard, which is the lake in Rockwall, which covers up a lot of these domed rock rooms and areas there. What's interesting about this is that in 1962, that area was under construction. 1962 and 1963, early 1963, 62 and 63 was under construction to be I forget what they named it, but they were calling it something because Rockwall's like a little outside of Dallas. So back then you were a lot more in the country, and then you keep going a little farther out and you're way in the country. And that's where I grew up at when I lived with my grandparents. And, supposedly this area was just supposed to be like, I forget what they called it, kind of like a nature area, I guess, just woods, where people could go out and be kind of in the woods, but still kind of be in the city and be, 20 minutes from downtown or whatever, that kind of thing. And something during the excavation in 1962 and 1963, early 1963, they were doing some construction work. They were doing some with a digger in kind of this low-lying valley region, which goes and crests up into this big, giant hill with a big, huge rock on top of it in the town of Rowlett. You're at when you get to that top peak on Highway 66, coming off of the bridge down to cross into the rock wall, right where you're coming into where the courthouse is, you're at a 1,300-foot elevation right there. So, if there was to be a great flood here, I could just drive, 30 minutes from here and go to Rowlett and stand up there on the big rock, and that'd be cool. I mean, you can't tell me somebody didn't build a civilization there or something for that specific reason. This is they call this the Black Land Prairie here. It's a flat land prairie. It's flat, black dirt. There's not mountains and hills and anything like that. It's flat. But when you start getting out there in the area around Rockwall, you're like, where am I? There's big, huge rolling hills and these big mounds that don't really look natural. And you're like, what the hell is this? And I used to see those my whole life and always wondered that as a kid and wondered how, and my grandfather used to tell me stories about when they were digging out the area which they hadn't planned on making it a lake yet. And they cracked some rock in the bottom on the ground. And this guy's Caterpillar, his big tractor, fell off into the hole, into this chasm. And it was way, way, way down there. And he had just bought this thing and he said that he paid $100 there. I remember how much we paid for it, $100,000 or something like that at the time, or $50,000. I remember some big amount. But they would not let him retrieve it whatsoever. And very shortly after that was about middle of 1963. All of a sudden, there's this shift and this change from this being a, just a nature area to all of a sudden, okay, now we're going to dam it off. We're going to flood it and turn it into a lake. We're going to connect the East Fork of the Trinity with it and turn it into a floodplain, flood the old original establishment of Rockwall and turn it into a big lake. Now, there was a lot of fighting going on about this and a lot of contention. And by right about the time of the Kennedy assassination, right around November 1963, they had started making preparations to turn this into a lake, and they were way behind. By March of 1964, just a few months after the Kennedy assassination, they had, ahead of schedule, completed this lake and got it filled in with water and filled in whatever was down there. So it seems that they found something. And they took big steps to keep it quiet. And Kennedy, apparently, with his attitude against secrecy, that's what a lot of people want. What I think too. A lot of this stuff about his secret society speech was talking about, Jesuits and talking about, because when he got burned on the Bay of Pigs thing, at that point, he knew that he had no power. So that's when he set out to splinter the CIA into 1,000 pieces. And so when he came to Dallas, he was already, in that I'm going to splinter the CIA and I'm against the intelligence community and whatever they tell me not to talk about, I'm going to talk about mode. That's where he was. That's why they killed him. So, again, no way to prove that he was going to disclose that. But when you look at the evidence, and especially with this whole idea of this rock wall thing, both those things coinciding for me, it's just insane because those are, I grew up in that area around the rock wall, had crazy, weird experiences my whole life. Seeing UFOs, seeing all kinds of crazy stuff. Me and my buddy chased a UFO from Greenville to Rockwall one night and saw that sucker. We got right to the bridge where a lot of the wall is, which, like we've said, is the perfect trajectory for space. That sucker took off, shot like a rocket. And now that I think about that, I'm thinking, well, there you go. It's a perfect trajectory into space. But this thing wasn't a plane, and it just shot off into. I mean, it was insane. We chased the thing for 30 miles, hauling ass. Man, oh man, oh man. Yeah, there's so much to be known. And there's so much that is all around us, hidden. And who's going to be the ones that's going to bring this stuff out, man? I just, when I hear about stuff like this, I just can't sit around and just let it be contained and covered up. I've got to talk about it. I've got to do what I can do to get it out there. I mean, I'd love to be able to have, a couple of years ago when I was on Oracle, I had some people come forward and they were interested in putting up a couple $100,000 for a dig. Man, if somebody came like that forward like that again, we'd be set to do that. But that's what I'm hoping that we can do with this film, is to get some interest up, and maybe get some interest up in the scientific community or people who fund these kind of things, and get some legitimate archaeology going on where, we control the perimeters of the people that are doing the analysis and the digging. And, I would want to be on hand at all times for this, and I'd want to be there involved in it, and making sure that, we have people in that we can trust, and people in that aren't going to cook the data and stuff like that. Because, I mean, there's just been a lot of analysis that have been done that we haven't had access to the information of, these paleomagnetic surveys where, these guys get so fucking wigged out because they're finding so many weird geomagnetic anomalies that they can't explain, that they won't even talk about what they found. When I first heard about this Rockwall thing, it hit me like a ton of bricks, because I found out about it reading Jim Marr's book, Ruled by Secrecy. He mentions it briefly in there. He just says something to the effect of, well, although we may not ever know the answers to this and that and chupacabras and whatever have you, and the ancient and mysterious Rockwall in Rockwall, Texas. And I went, what? Hold up a minute. So I started digging and looking, and I just immediately clicked, all those experiences I had, the missing time thing, and just seeing stuff out there my whole life. I always felt this connection. I remember there was there used to be this catfish. It was a catfish restaurant, seafood restaurant in Rockwall when I was a kid. And it was a Friday night spot, man. It was one of those, it was one of those spots where everybody wanted to go on Friday night. My grandparents and aunts and uncles and stuff, we used to go there, not every Friday night, but almost, every other Friday night. Sometimes we'd go to the steakhouse, but, this place, I remember the name of it too, it was called Mr. Catfish. It was right off of Highway 30, right on the tip top corner, man, overlooking Lake Ray Hubbard. They've got there's like a Snuffers and some other shit over there now, but they've got, at that time, that was like the only, one of the only restaurants. There weren't that many restaurants back then. When Rockwall was still pretty small. It was a small town. It's huge now. Richest county in Texas. But I can remember being a kid and looking out over this lake like at sunset, looking out over the water and looking at the rocks and stuff. And I can only describe it now, being an adult, looking back on it and thinking about my memory and how I felt looking out over these rocks. It had felt like I had been there before, and it felt prehistoric to me. It felt like I was looking at a picture of the past. And I had, I used to always see strange things like that when me and my dad and family, whenever we'd go to see our relatives in East Texas and stuff, we'd go through, we always go the same route, from where we lived, every time. So, when you're a kid, you're always looking out the car and stuff. And there's an area right over near Lake Ray Hubbard, near the rock wall, where they found a lot of rock wall stuff at, where there's this big creek that goes down into one of the tributaries and feeds off into the East Fork of the Trinity River. And supposedly, if you get in a boat and go down that, which some of my crazy fucking buddies to go with me to do, I plan on doing. Oh, I'm going to do it all, man. We're going to get in fucking boats and we're going to go dig shit up. We're going to go run around. No, it's going to be fucking classic, dude. We're going to film it all. This is going to be a hoot. But suppose if you get a boat and you go down this creek that feeds into the East Fork of the Trinity River, there's fucking rocks sticking out of the goddamn ground of the wall. I know people, guys, John Lindsay and a couple other guys who've gone down there and actually seen this. I want to go see that. I want to go put my hand on it. You know what I'm saying? But when I used to look down, I remember every time we used to go to East Texas, I'd look down where that creek is. And man, I remember while looking down, there's a kid, and it looked prehistoric down there. Look like the fucking land of the lost or something, dude. Like you're going to see slee stacks and fucking chaka and shit coming out of the fucking side hatch down there. It looked like, and looking back in that area, it still kind of looks like that now. Now that I know that's where they found the 2.5 ton garnet stones there. I don't know, man. It for the past 7 years, I guess it's been now, since I've known about the rock wall, it has driven me absolutely batshit crazy that this thing is right here where I grew up, where I've spent my whole life, and everybody in the whole goddamn world seems to be too stupid and too brainwashed and too scared to want to look into it. But there's enough evidence to warrant it being looked into in an extremely large way. And, I told myself as soon as I found out about it that I was going to, I didn't even have a radio show or, made a film or anything at that time. I had no fucking warrant to say I was going to do anything. But I just said, I remember telling myself at the time that I was going to do my, that was even my mission. I was going to uncover this thing. Somehow, some way, I made that my mission. And I've kind of slacked for that mission. I've kind of, done other things and not focused on that. Well, it's almost 2012, baby. Now is the time. Now is the time. So I'll probably put up, I'm going to try to do like one of those Kickstarter things for that this time. And try to see if we can get a budget going. I want to have a workable budget before I start doing anything. So I'm not going to get stuck doing like I did last time, where, we have to have, get in a small amount of, okay, here's $1,000, work till that $1,000 is up. And then, okay, now I can't do any more work. Not going to do that this time. I'm going to, have up a support thing for a while, do a Kickstarter thing. I'm trying to get some people to come in on this thing that want to get a piece of this action. Because, if we can get some people with some money in here that want to invest in this thing, the credit will be split equally with whatever we find or uncover. And hopefully we can get some interesting people. I mean, like Dan Aykroyd. I mean, I would think Dan Aykroyd would be all over this. I mean, that guy pays, he sells this Crystal Skull vodka, which is absolutely fucking fantastic, by the way. It's fucking filtered through Herkimer diamonds, for God's sakes. Oh, fuck, that stuff's amazing. If you ever get a chance to try it. But all the proceeds from this stuff, from the Crystal Skull vodka, are going to fund more digs to find more crystal skulls. That's awesome. I wish more Hollywood people like Dan Aykroyd would do that. But, that's the way I see it. That's just so fucking rad. That's so cool. I'm just like, that's why you should buy a bottle of his fucking vodka, because, and not only that, you get a badass actual comes in a crystal skull, and it's so good. It's even if you don't drink that much. And I don't really drink that much either. I drink when we have Demigod shows, and that's it. I really don't drink much anymore. I like Jägermeister every now and again, but not really a drinker so much anymore. But man, oh man, oh man. Yeah, I just like the idea that, let's do something and let's use that to fund, people digging up this stuff. I just think there's so much evidence, and it's a huge, massive find. You would think that somebody like, why aren't these ancient aliens fucks interested in this? But I tell you this, I'll be goddamned if I'm going to let Supocalypse steal my thunder. Fuck that guy. And his Bud Bundy fucking fell asleep in a tanning bed look. Motherfucker. Anyway, I've been rambling for about an hour here, and I still got some news and stuff. Wow, we're going to eat fucking Moonbatty tonight. We're going to be taking this motherfucker into overdrive. But I need to rest the pipes for a minute, get a drink, get some air, and come back, and we'll get into some news tonight and try to maybe get into some of the Kabbalion as well. Or maybe we don't do news, or maybe I just do some news. We'll see what happens. Anyway, we got a whole lot more show for you here tonight on the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for being with us again. This is our fundraising week. Please go to theglobalreality.com. We're about $300 away from meeting our goal. Use the chip in banner there. Help us. We got to get that in by tomorrow. So please, please, please help us get that and meet that goal set, folks. And if you can donate, please do so and help us stay alive. We don't have commercials. We don't have advertisers. Dick Pill. All right, back here with you on the Global Reality, right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being with us here tonight for yet another late night Moonbat edition of the broadcast. Thanks for staying up late with us tonight, flapping those Moonbatty wings and getting into it in here. We're going to be getting into some news, a little bit of news for you here tonight, as well as the Kabbalion. We're going to be getting into where do we have tonight? Oh, quit being geeky on me. Chapter 9. Yeah, we did 7. We did 8. Trying to find my exact page. There we go. Vibration. Nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. So we'll get into that as well. GlobalRealityShow@gmail.com is my email address. Love to have emails from you anytime there. GlobalRealityShow@gmail.com. TheGlobalReality.com is my website where you find the archives, the listen to the stream link. On the weekends and stuff, we have shows and we have stuff 24 hours a day running over here. You might find, on Christmas, we had a Bill Cooper marathon. So this weekend, we'll probably have some kind of a marathon on here. Who knows? You might catch Robert Anton Wilson. You might catch Joseph Campbell. You might catch Manly P. Hall. You might catch a whole bunch of slew of my old shows, and we'll definitely be playing back all the shows from this week over the weekend, having a marathon of those. So definitely the live stream is definitely something to check out 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And definitely check it out. You never know what you're going to hear on there. I always keep a slew of stuff playing on there. And the weekends, especially during the week, I usually just play the repeat of the show the night before. So that's what we do during the week. But during the weekend, I play marathon shows and lots of different things there. I play stand-up comedy stuff on here sometimes after shows. I'll play Richard Pryor or George Carlin, or, Bill Hicks or something like that. But definitely always something there. TheGlobalReality.com. And again, this is our fundraising week. We have got to reach our goal there on the Achievement Banner by tomorrow. So please go to TheGlobalReality.com and help us out there if you can. We also have a donate button. That donate button is if you want to donate larger amounts and don't go towards the bills every month. If you want to donate stuff towards our cause here. Also, on the suggestion, Scott, one of our listeners and supporters, who's helped out with the Secret Right Volume 2 and became the executive producer there. I've read some of his emails and he sent some stuff in about, suggestions on stuff to do for the show and different things like that. And always, he always has good thoughts and ideas and suggestions for stuff. And he talked about how, people seem to donate more when there's, on the months when I do like last year we didn't do one this year, but last year around this time we did an end of the year fundraiser and, more people contributed to that. So he said people tend to, donate more when they know there's a specific goal in mind. And we have the goal every month for just the, for the bills and whatnot and expenses for doing the show and all that. We did this thing over the holidays with my family with the Amazon gift or wish lists. And I always have that wish list thing going because I always, you can find fucking anything on Amazon now. I mean, anything you want to get on there. And so over the holidays for us for Christmas, it was it was awesome for the family because everybody just exchanged wish lists and everybody, got what they wanted, exactly what they wanted. There's no gray area there for somebody to get you a fucking tie or a, ugly grandma knitted sweater, a fruit cake, or, cheese of the month club or some shit like that. It's no gray area there. And everybody loved that. It was such a hit, and so I was thinking about that along the lines with what Scott was suggesting for the show and stuff about people liking goals. And it does seem that he's correct there. So I thought what I would do, and I'll send a link to this over to Man Hydra, and I'll get him to put it up somewhere on the website. I don't know where he'd put it up, but I'll get him to put it up somewhere. But I have a wish list on Amazon, and on that, I've added stuff that I would like to have or want to get at some point for what I do with the radio show and with music and with the films and soundtrack stuff. I do all the soundtrack stuff myself, all the music and stuff. But anyway, I've got a list up there, and it's basically, I've got, the tip top of the line, if money was no object, $3,000 Sony camera on there. I've got, Blu-ray duplicator thing so I can duplicate, I want to start manufacturing my own CDs and DVDs and not have to pay money to disc makers to get them done. Print my own labels and start making all that stuff, doing it 100% DIY. To cut down on the cost of distributing the DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff. Because, you're talking like, to get one of the big towers, I think they're like 1,800 or something like that. But, you're talking about a one-time investment. Once you get that, you can duplicate like fucking 30 discs at once, man. All you have to do is buy the discs, and those are getting cheaper and cheaper every day. Even the Blu-rays are getting cheaper by the day. So, that's just stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff. So what I was going to do, what my point is, I was going to have Man Hydra put that up there. And because what you can do is you can go on there, and if you can purchase something off of my wish list, and that's it. It gets shipped right to me. They have my address on file and all that stuff. And because of Scott's suggestion, him pointing out that people like goals and all that stuff, I was thinking, well, maybe that'll translate to the same kind of thing. He was kind of saying the same kind of thing where, all right, well, that's, here are some things that we face. This is our wish list. And of course, there's ridiculous stuff on there that costs $3,000 that probably nobody's going to fucking pick up for us, but that's not the point. It's a wish list. It's supposed to be ridiculous, right? There's a book on there. I think it's a Manly P. Hall book. It's like $1,700. Boy, wouldn't that be something to have and read on there? Stuff like that, But I was just doing that on Scott's suggestion because I figured that if I put that up there, that there may be more people out there that might be more inclined to pick up something that we need off of the gift list in lieu of using the donate button to, you know, make a large donation so we can purchase something like that. And you know what? I'm fine with that. So that's what I'm going to start doing. I'm just going to start adding stuff up there that I want or need for what I'm doing here. And that'll be there, and it'll just always be there. And, you know, that way, if there's people out there who want to support what we're doing, not talking about the monthly operating costs. I'm talking about separate from that. But if there's people out there that want to make a donation or would want to make a larger donation for the equipment and all that stuff, but want to see what they're getting, well, that's a perfect way. Because, I mean, it's all done through Amazon. It doesn't go through me. You just make the purchase, then they send me the item. So, I don't know. It's an idea. It's something I thought I would throw out there and do. You know, I love the suggestions that a lot of you guys have sent in about, you know, doing different things to try and reach more people and more ideas to get our support up and all this stuff. So I'm really doing my best to try and work on some of those ideas and try to incorporate some of those. And so, again, just want to thank everybody out there for your suggestions. Again, if I don't acknowledge your suggestion, don't think that doesn't mean make another suggestion later or something. You know, don't get spooked away. If it doesn't mean I didn't think about it or try to work it in. It's just some things are feasible for me to do and some things aren't. So there you go. There it is. And I just thought that was a good idea. And Scott's exactly right. People do tend to, like it a lot better when they have a goal and they can see directly where stuff's going to. And I figured, hey, I mean, fuck, all I'm going to do is turn around and if I get a donation and buy that piece of equipment that we need anyway, right? I mean, we can just forgo that whole process. And I'll just start dropping stuff that I need or for the operation or for the films or whatever on that. And that'll, hey, if we get something in, that's great. If we don't, that's fine too. But it'll just be there, and that'll give people a lot more, idea. They can see, okay, exactly. This is what, this is what he needs, and this is what he's getting, and I'm going to get it, and here it is, and it goes direct to him, and that's it. So there you go. Yeah, I really do wanted to tell everybody, be clear about that I do, when you listeners out there send in suggestions and stuff like that, I do take them to heart. And, if I don't send you an email back, don't think that it means I didn't read it or really take to heart the things you're saying and try to think about how I can incorporate them, because again, some things are feasible, some things aren't. But like I was talking about earlier, I really crunched the numbers on this Netflix thing, and it really looks like one of those situations where the investment of that could turn out to be something that is, very beneficial for how many people that we reach with the radio network and the radio show every month and with the films, because if I get one up there and it does well, then we can see about getting all the rest of them up there in future films. Because I've got 3 or 4 films, and the thing is, I'm always doing research on all of them simultaneously. I know that probably doesn't make any sense to you, but I'm always I'm also simultaneously researching one subject, and then simultaneously researching a completely different subject. Like I'll be that's just how my mind works. I love it. And it's a lot of fun, I mean, always giving yourself that aha moment, and always giving yourself, making sure that you always stay, in awe of things, because a lot of times people get cynical and they think that, they start to think that they know it all and they know everything there is to know, and or they just get overload because it's, once you start reaching the boundaries of a lot of this information, it does start to get that way for you. But I stay excited and I stay hot on this stuff because I know that no matter how much I know, I could know 100 times what I know now 20 years from now, but I still fucking wouldn't know a damn thing. I may not know too many things, but I know for sure that's a fact. I mean, the more you learn that you don't know anything at all. But that's what keeps you on top of it. That's what keeps you searching, It's just, to me, it's just exciting to take those moments of real revelation, those moments where you've really found a real connection and a real solid case against, whatever it is that you're talking about or exposing at the time, and putting it all in one place. That's kind of what the films have been for me, they've kind of been little collections of my aha moments, little things I've found along my journey, and seeing how those fit and connect. That's the most exciting thing. I'm really glad to be kicking off 2012 with the launch of the Secret Right Volume 2, and then also the launch of other projects we're going to be doing and films we're going to be doing in 2012 as well. And I'm also glad more than anything else that for the most part, it does seem that most of the people that I encounter, at least in my radio show, the ones that are freaking out and shitting themselves, running around scared for 2012, are the same ones that are running around scaring themselves, shitting themselves for the apocalypse or FEMA camps or anything else. Probably were the same ones running around like chickens with their heads cut off during Y2K. And there's always going to be that. But, I'm really glad that for the most part, most of the people that I found that listen to my show and stuff, I'm just glad that people aren't buying into the fear. Because that's exactly what they want. They want to feed off that energy. They want to feed off that fear. And they want to utilize that to bring about whatever it is they want to bring back, so they can fulfill their phony prophecy and rebuild the temple and all that shit. That's what all these right-wing Christian reconstructionist fucks are all about. And I don't give a damn if their name's Ron Paul or Newt Gingrich or anything else. These guys are all on the same team. They can sit up there and do that WWF shit all day long, but these guys are all on the same team. They're just one of the tentacles maintaining the total supremacy of that power which controls all of them. Let's see what we've got here in the news stack tonight. A heightened state of alert has been issued for a remote Alaskan volcano after the detection of a drifting ash cloud, the result of what's believed to have been a lone explosion. The U.S. Geological Survey put out an orange alert Thursday for Cleveland Volcano in the Altuian Islands, about 940 miles southwest of Anchorage. That is the third out of 4 possible levels on the federal agency's warning scale. Satellite data indicate that this is a single explosion event. The survey and Alaska Volcano Observatory said in its notice, but more sudden explosions producing ash cloud occur with plumes exceeding 20,000 feet above sea level. A similar alert has been issued in early September amid concerns that the volcano could be leaking from its flanks if the lava inside continued to build up. The volcano's lava dome was 262 feet in diameter on August 30th, but by then it had expanded to 394 feet. So we've got eruptions, volcano eruptions. It seems that we're starting to see some seismic activity happening that I think is absolutely connected to the sun activity that's going on. Did you guys see a couple of weeks ago where that, I didn't talk about it on the show, but where that comet passed straight through the sun a couple of weeks ago? Did you guys hear about that? They had a picture of it, man. This motherfucker went all the way through the sun, to the middle of the sun, and came out on the other side unscathed, which they said they've never witnessed before. It's just wild. But we've got that going on, coupled with these, as we talked about last night, these various sun activities and these massive coronal ejections that are happening. Seeing that coincide with the seismic activity in volcanoes and stuff like that. I mean, there's, this idea that somehow our Earth is separated from our sun and the other planets. I mean, our solar system is one entity with different energies that exist in each one of them. And each one of these energies has its different influence over the conscious and unconscious and subconscious minds of all living sentient organisms on the planet Earth. And our culture and our society and our beliefs and our everything are in a chaotic form right now because that's what our solar system is doing. I mean, there are actually people out there that believe that we've been lied to about how old the sun is and that the sun may be in the process of actually dying right now. And that's what we're seeing and experiencing. And that's really what 2012 is about. And, we become fourth dimensional light beings. I don't know. It may be true. It may not be. I just flat don't know. And I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend that I do know for sure because I just don't. And neither do you or anybody else out there. Those are the people you got to be totally afraid of. The one that tells you they absolutely know what's going to happen on 2012. Nobody does. May not be anything. But galactic alignment happening and the equinox, or not the equinox, but the galactic alignment, and also which is called the precession of the equinoxes. That's what I meant. And of course, winter solstice on December 21st, 2012. We definitely see things happening and things going on with our sun that are coinciding with things on our planet. And that's coinciding with all of a sudden everybody's got to go and get to the moon real fast. Of course, I've told you why that is. They're going there to look for the Ark of the Covenant. They're going to look for the energy device to open the portal because that's going to give whatever is there on the moon is going to give whatever power on Earth gets it first. China's trying to get there for anybody else, but I think they're going to get there and find it's been long gone. We've been doing top secret stuff on the moon forever. While they've been showing us, models and shit on TV. 2011 was the year of the restless sun. After 5 years of surprising quiet, the sun roared to life in 2011. Our star erupted with numerous strong flares and waves of charged particles. Many researchers predict the surge will culminate in a peak in the sun's 11-year activity cycle in 2013. This year also marked several key advances in scientists' understanding of the dynamics driving our favorite star. Here are some of the solar highlights of 2011. Having been relatively quiet since 2005, the sun spouted off a number of powerful flares and coronal mass ejections this year. Coronal mass ejections are made up of massive clouds of plasma that are sent streaking through space in any direction at several million miles per hour. When these clouds are aimed at Earth, they can spawn geomagnetic storms that wreak havoc with GPS signals, radio communications, and power grids. We are getting more CMEs and starting to get more energetic CME flare combinations. Terry Kucera, deputy project scientist with NASA Solar and Heliospheric Observatory spacecraft, told Space.com via email. Scientists classify strong solar flares in three categories, C, M, and X, with the X class being the most powerful. So far in 2011, 8 X-class flares have been observed. My goodness. Yeah, that's a lot. That's way off the norm. The largest solar flare in more than 4 years exploded from the sun in August. And I remember that. God damn, it got hot those couple of days when that was balls hot. God damn, it was like 115 fucking degrees. I remember because I covered the stories when that big, large solar flare happened. And I was like, man, it's going to be a fucking heat wave in the next couple of days. Man, it was 115 degrees. It was just balls hot. I mean, you just go outside, you're just in ball soup in about 2 seconds, man. Not good. Mud Puppy in the chat room came up here and stayed with his uncle for a while, and he said last night in the chat room that he couldn't believe people actually go out and try to go about their day and act like that shit doesn't bother them. It's like, it's 115 degrees outside here, yeah. Yeah, people do that shit here in fucking Dallas. They're fucking crazy. I mean, they kill fucking presidents here, for God's sake. 115 degree heat don't bother these crazy motherfuckers. They'll blow a president's head off. They don't give a fuck. They're from Dallas. They're crazy. Oh, shit, I'm from here, too. Fuck. The particles from the ejection arrived a day or so later, triggering dramatic northern lights displays and spawning a geomagnetic storm that caused further radio interruptions. In March, a solar storm created the fastest traveling CME in 6 years. A wave of particle racing at 5 million miles per hour shot into space away from Earth. Similarly, around Labor Day in September, the sun erupted with several CMEs and solar flares, including an X-class outburst September 6th. Kucera said his favorite eruption occurred on June 7th, a medium-sized solar flare, a minor radiation storm, and a unique CME from an active sunspot region. A lot of cool, dense material didn't make it out and fell back into the sun, she said. The spectacle of plasma crashing back into our star had never been seen before. It was amazing to look at. And so, here's, kamikaze comets. That's what they're calling these. Supposedly they're saying these comets are just dive bombing into the sun and killing themselves. The comet Lovejoy was the one that went fucking right through the sun, just came out the other side. And with all these pictures and stuff that's been taken, there's been a lot of anomalous things that have been seen around the sun over the past couple of years. Things that look like spacecraft and stuff like that around the sun. It does give you the idea or the impression that I think somebody's tinkering with our sun. I don't know whether it's us or whether it's somebody else from out there. I don't know. But I think it's also interesting that these comets are committing suicide and they're going. I hate to be alarmist here, folks, or put out. I got to be very careful of things I say sometimes. I don't want to get any unwarranted fear sauce going. But from what I understand, from all my years of studying space stuff and being into Carl Sagan and stuff when I was a kid, folks, if comets are committing suicide and Harry and kamikazing themselves into the sun, that's a pretty good indicator that our sun is maybe turning into a black hole. Black hole sun, won't you come? I don't know for sure that's indeed the case, folks. But I'm going to tell you, from what I understand, the thing is, comets don't normally do that. And all of a sudden, with the sun going through these cycles it's going through right now, it's starting to happen a lot more. Listen to this. Kamikaze comets. A number of comets crashed into the sun in 2011, and on July 6th, my birthday, scientists captured one such death dive in its entirety for the first time. The observations made by NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory spacecraft should improve scientists' understanding of comet composition, researchers have said. Sometimes daredevil comets survive their ordeals against all odds. In December, comet Lovejoy had a close encounter with the sun that experts thought would be fatal. It passed within 87,000 miles of the solar surface, but reemerged on the sun's other side and zipped off into space. Lovejoy is part of a group. I hate when that happens. There it is. Lovejoy is part of a group known as Kreutz sun grazers. Yeah, that's what they're called, sun grazers. Kreutz sun grazers. Most of these comets are thought to come from a single giant comet that broke apart several centuries ago. They are named for the 19th century German astronomer Heinrich Kreutz, who first showed that such comets are related. Seeing a comet enter the million-degree solar corona with an extreme ultraviolet imager, then to see one enter and exit is so cool. And this solar activity is likely to continue increasing until 2013 or so, which I think is interesting because, everybody talks about Nibiru and tries to correlate the return of Nibiru with 2012, even though there's nothing in the Sumerian text saying anything about 2012 and the Anunnaki returning. I don't know how that became a meme. It's totally unfounded as far as I'm concerned. And yet they don't talk about this other planet that's depicted in Sumerian depictions of the solar system, which, by the way, are accurate. That's just a coincidence. Yeah, that's just a coincidence. It's just a coincidence that the Sumerians 5,000 years ago, with no technology, got a working civilization right on the first try. That's admitted. You can go check out the Library of Congress official, mainline historical records on Sumeria, and that's the admitted mainline historical record. They got a civilization literally overnight, out of nowhere, in one try. And yet it was just a coincidence that with no telescopes, no technology, they happen to have intricate star maps of our solar system with the sun and the moon and the planets all in the right spot, except with two additional planets that they tell us aren't there. One, I guess, being Nibiru and the other being Vulcan, which is on the other side of the sun, on the other side of Venus. And when it gets close to Earth, it has effects like what we've seen in the past. It affects the all the magnetic field of the Earth causes earthquakes, floods, tsunamis, droughts. I think one of the times it came close to Earth, we had a big financial crisis. I think the last time it was around was, I think, around during the Great Depression or something like that. Great upheavals in society, and yet no one ever talks about it. And I think it's interesting that solar activity coincides with 2013, which is when we're said to the Earth will feel the effects of Vulcan. But, you know, it's not like end of the world stuff with Vulcan. It's just, you know, I mean, yeah, there's probably going to be a lot. I mean, there's probably going to be a lot of people dying. There's probably going to be earthquakes and floods and all this stuff. But you know, it's not going to stick around. It's going to ride itself and it'll be over with. Just one of these planetary things that in our time we've never had to ride out, and people are going to get real familiar with those things in the coming years. But yeah, the whole Vulcan thing is very interesting to me. I really knew they were going forward with looking into that a couple of years ago when Japan launched that Icarus spacecraft to go, you know, go to the sun, and then it's going to go on the other side of Venus. Just coincidentally, exactly where Vulcan is said to be. And of course, you know, never mind the fact that Icarus just happens to be the son of Vulcan in Greek mythology. That's all coincidences as well. Wow, somebody dropped this video of Jimmy Johnson as a reptilian in the chat room earlier. Man, that's a pretty wild stuff. I had a question earlier in the chat room about reptilians. Somebody asked me about the reptilian thing, and said that they it seemed to them that stuff was kind of put there to poison the well for stuff. And I thought that for the longest time too. But I got to tell you, I've had some experiences with several things. Made me think otherwise. But look, you know, I don't necessarily believe that Dick Cheney and Bush and Obama, these kind of people, are turning into 8-foot reptiles behind closed doors. But also at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me if it was true either. I mean, with the shit that I have seen about these guys. But the fact of the matter is, there's all kinds of archaeological evidence all over the world for, you know, depicting different quote unquote gods that look like reptilians. There's serpent and snake reptilian symbology all over. All the stuff we were talking about Samaria a second ago. I mean, you've got the caduceus, the serpent there, intertwined with a staff. That's first depicted in Samaria 5,000 years ago, folks. It's still used by the medical industry today as a logo. But what is that? That's the intertwined serpents around the staff. That's the double helix. That's DNA. That was how they put the mark to let people in the future generations know, look, you know, there was some genetic manipulation, some tinkering going on here. This is how this started. But with the reptilian thing, you know, you look at the bloodlines, you look at how all these, you know, they've been interbreeding, and all these bloodlines go back to these civilizations where you had demigods that were put in positions of power by the extraterrestrials, you know, part human, part extraterrestrial, that were put in charge. And that's what these bloodlines of the rulers today go back to. It's funny, you know, everybody's been talking about all this Ron Paul stuff and all this white supremacist stuff. You know what subsection of the population I have found knows the absolute most about all the Anunnaki stuff and all the genetic manipulation and the bloodlines and all that stuff? The Stormfront crowd, the white supremacist types. I've come across their stuff doing research so many times. These guys, and looked at some of their posts of, these guys are into it because they believe that that's exactly what Hitler was looking for on all his expeditions to India and the Middle East and all this stuff. And that these giants, these Nordics, were extraterrestrials who ceded power on Earth. And they were trying to find the evidence that they were supposed to rule supreme. And the people in charge are still obsessed with that to this day. There is a lot of bullshit surrounding the reptilian thing. I mean, there's a lot of bullshit videos. There's a lot of bullshit books. There's a lot of bullshit radio shows, all kinds of stuff out there. A lot of bullshit things said about it. But I believe that's the whole reason why there is so much of that. They want you to think it's a taboo, goofy, oh, that's just a distraction, don't talk about that, that's retarded. See, you got to be just as skeptical of that as you do of whether or not, reptilians or all this crap are real or not. You got to be skeptical of that, of anybody, telling you, oh, well, that, don't look into that topic. Oh, who cares about that topic? That, blah, blah, blah. That's not important. No. Because if it wasn't important, there wouldn't be such a, it's just like the no plane thing. I mean, most of the no plane videos I've seen out there that supposedly show no planes on 9/11, to me, from looking at them in video editors and in, high def screens and pulling the frames out and really analyze them like I do for when I'm making a movie, I've seen a lot of chicanery. I've seen people using sophisticated cuts and edits and overlays in video and stuff like that you can see artifacts. A trained eye like myself for looking at video can see, but your average person just looking at it, you can't tell. Seen a lot of that going on with a lot of the no plane stuff. I don't even doubt that the no plane thing is false. I don't necessarily believe that, but what I'm saying is, as a possibility, it's you cannot just say that something is not a possibility because it seems ridiculous to you. Because if you think that about any of these topics, folks, they have got you right where they want you. They have things that are beyond the imagination of the average folks out there. And how they get away with stuff is they count on your ignorance and you believing that there's no way they can have things or do certain things when they've had these things and been doing them for years. But I had some experiences with the reptilian thing. Me and my sister went and confronted Tom DeLay back in like 2007. And he looked at us and he had little black eyes. And these black eyes rolled over and he scanned us up and down. And I swear to God, he wasn't human. I've met a couple of people like that. Not a lot, but I've met a few people like that. But I took one look at him and go, that person's not human. And then later on after that, I read on some tinfoil hat website, it had it listed right there. It said Tom DeLay, High Reptilian Overlord. And I went, you know what? If I would have saw that before, I would have laughed at that and said, that's kookery. That's total tinfoil hat shit. But you know what? In life, folks, all we can do is speak from our experiences. And I'm telling you right now, whether Tom DeLay is a High Reptilian Overlord or not, I will tell you this. I don't believe he is human. And if he's not human, that means there's a whole lot more of these motherfuckers who aren't human too. And it's probably a lot closer to a they live situation than we've all ever really counted on. Really. This individual who was asking me about reptilians was also asking about David Icke. David Icke, I used to love David Icke. Just like I used to love Alan Johnson, I love David Icke. I thought David Icke was the real deal. I interviewed David Icke on my show in 2008, and beyond any shadow of a doubt, ladies and gentlemen, I was psychically vampirized by David Icke on my radio show, which you can go and find. It's out there. In 2008, I couldn't even barely do the last hour of my show. I had a splitting migraine headache, and I felt as if my energy was being drained through the phone line. I'm not kidding you. At the time, I really didn't have as much knowledge of that kind of stuff as I do now. But that's absolutely what it was. And then, I really didn't think much of it. I kind of just, put it aside. Still like David Icke. And then in 2009, me and some friends went out to New Mexico to go see David Icke in person. And we were in there for like 10 minutes, man, while he started talking. And they had these like barricade things, like separators for the room behind him. What I thought was odd was that there was a whole big portion of this room that was behind the stage where David Icke was speaking from, was in front of where the chairs were at, that blocked off some big back part of the room that you couldn't see. And there was no way to get back there or see what was back there. They went all the way up to the ceiling and they blocked off this whole back area. And I was sitting there thinking, how do we know there's not, machines back there with mind control beams beaming at us? And I liked David Icke at that time, but within 10 minutes of being in there, we started getting the nods. There were other people I was looking around at, and they were just fine. But we were like, it felt like our energy was being drained. I had to go outside and get some air, and it just didn't feel right. Well, when we got there, They had these screens, and it was at a casino in New Mexico is where it was at. And he talked for like 10 hours, literally. We got there like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. The fucker wasn't over till like 8 at night. I mean, the motherfucker talked for 9 at night. The motherfucker talked all night, all day, like 10 hours of Ike. But you could never, nobody ever got near, you never got to see David Icke. Usually at things like that, you go, it's easy action to meet the person that's speaking and, shake a hand and get an autograph and talk. If there was absolutely no access to David Icke whatsoever. You didn't see him before the event. You didn't see him during the breaks. You didn't see him after. He went through some room or some door or something somewhere where there was absolutely no access to the audience. And I was like, who does this fucking guy think he is? Fucking David Hasselhoff, man, you ain't in Germany. Come on. But they had on the casino, on the screens outside, it said that like 6:30 p.m. or something was the meet and greet. And we were like, oh, cool. It's going to be a meet and greet. And then at the end of the show, and I've got some pictures of this. I got some pictures of from the show I took with my camera. And then at the end of the show, they say, oh, the meet and greet's canceled. And they didn't give any reason for it. And I thought, yeah, that motherfucker knew I was here. Because what happened was Delphine, my friend Delphine and I went outside to go smoke a cigarette. And, usually when somebody's coming to see if somebody is sneaking into an event or something, usually it's somebody like a security or a dorm person. I would say that the person who put on an event, milling around by a door and coming to check to see if you paid to get in or not, that just sounds a little weird to me. But that happened to us. We went outside to smoke, and this lady comes out, and she's like, what are you guys here for? And we're like, oh, we're here for the David Icke thing. We have tickets. We've already been in there. She's like, oh. And she starts him-hawing around. She's like, oh, and we told her our names. And I told her I was a radio host, and she got this weird look on her face. Like she knew I was coming or something. It was strange. And I thought, why was the person who put this whole thing on, running the door or something, coming to check if she's like, oh, we had some people trying to sneak in. So we had to, and I was like, well, it's not sold out. There aren't that many people here anyway. Who's going to come to this and try to sneak in? Give me a break. But anyway, he canceled the meet and greet and didn't come out there. And, there were some weird, spooky people walking around that looked like spooks, asking us weird questions. It was just a strange experience. But I got the pictures home and started looking at the pictures, and I still have these pictures from the event. You can see David Icke in these pictures, folks. To me, he looks like he's shape-shifting on these pictures. So I'm one of those weird people. I don't just dislike David Icke because of his information or anything like that. I've just had personal experiences, things that have happened with him that have given me the impression that he may not only not be what he says he is, he may be exactly what he says they are. I think he's a fucking reptile. I'm not even going to beat around the bush. I think David Icke he's a reptilian. Judging from my experiences and the pictures, he looks like a dragon. He looks like a monster in these pictures. I'll have to put them all up in somewhere or put them in a video or something so you guys can see those at some point. But I've dropped them in the chat room before. I mean, he just literally doesn't look human in those pictures. So that, that's the kind of the level of this stuff that I'm telling you guys you have to be aware of. You thought the enemy was in our gates and in our midst. I mean, I've told you guys the Alex Jones story. I need to make a video of that. I meant to do that for the film. I didn't do that. That's on my list too. I need to video myself telling the Alex Jones story when he was, bulldogging me like a demon in 2006 before I even had a radio show when I was still a big fan of him. Like he knew the future or something. Absolutely insane. You guys hear about Hugo Chavez? I was just talking about on the show Monday about, them probably giving Chavez the cancer dart and all this stuff. I wonder if he's got minions listening to the show or something. Maybe Chavez is a fan. I don't know. Hey, Hugo Chavez, if you're a fan, how you doing, man? Thanks for listening. I don't know. But Hugo Chavez came out and said that he believes that the United States government gave him and other Latin leaders cancer. Well, I mean, they've had the cancer dart they've had that since the 60s. It's an ice dart. It looks like a mosquito bit you. It doesn't even show up in an autopsy. They shoot it in you, and it can give you cancer. They've got one that does heart attacks. They've got one that does strokes. They got ones that just, make it look like you died of a massive heart attack, all kinds of things. So, yeah, Hugo Chavez, yes, that stuff is very real, and I believe that that's probably what they used on you. So, I don't know. U.S. government saying, yeah, well, we didn't do it. We vehemently deny this, yeah, like everything else. They didn't genocide anybody in the Middle East either. They're totally innocent of that. They were doing the Lord's work.
Son of Satan's cock.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into the Kabbalion tonight. Vibration, Chapter 9. The great third Hermetic principle. The principle of vibration embodies the truth that motion is manifest. In everything in the universe, nothing is at rest. Everything moves, vibrates, and circles. This Hermetic principle was recognized by some of the early Greek philosophers who embodied it in their systems. But then for centuries it was lost sight of by the thinkers outside of the Hermetic ranks. But in the 19th century, physical science rediscovered the truth, and the 20th century scientific discoveries have added additional proof of the correctness and truth of this centuries-old Hermetic doctrine. The Hermetic teachings are that not only is everything in constant movement and vibration, but that the differences between the various manifestations of the universal power are due entirely to the varying rate and mode of vibrations. Not only this, but that even the all in itself manifests a constant vibration of such an infinite degree of intensity and rapid motion that it may be practically considered as at rest. The teachers directing the attention of the students to the fact that even on the physical plane, a rapidly moving object, such as a revolving wheel, seems to be at rest. The teachings are to the effect that spirit is at one end of the pole of vibration, the other pole being certain extremely gross forms of matter. Between these two poles are millions upon millions of different rates and modes of vibration. Modern science has proven that all that we call matter and energy are but modes of vibratory motion. And some of the more advanced scientists are rapidly moving towards the positions of the occultists, who hold that the phenomenon of mind are likewise modes of vibration or motion. Let us see what science has to say regarding the question of vibration in matter and energy. In the first place, science teaches that all matter manifests in some degree. The vibrations arising from temperature or heat, be an object cold or hot, both being but degrees of the same things. It manifests certain heat vibrations, and in that sense is. Why would you put a period in something where it was in the middle of a sentence? That's retarded. It's supposed to say it manifests certain heat vibrations in the sense that it is in motion and vibration. They put a period between is and in. That's retarded. Then all particles of matter are in circular motion, circular movement from corpuscle to suns. The planets revolve around suns, and many of them turn on their axis. And it's supposed to be axis, not axis, not axes, as in an axe to chop a zombie's head off. Jesus. Who the fuck wrote this thing? The suns move around greater central points, and these are believed to move around still greater, and so on ad infinitum. The molecules of which the particular kinds of matter are composed are in a state of constant vibration and movement around each other and against each other. The molecules are composed of atoms which likewise are in a state of constant movement and vibration. The atoms are composed of corpuscles, sometimes called electrons, ions, etc., which are also in a state of rapid motion, revolving around each other, and which manifest a very rapid state and mode of vibration. And so we see that all forms of matter manifest in vibration in accordance with the Hermetic principle of vibration. And so it is with the various forms of energy. Science teaches that light, heat, magnetism, and electricity are but forms of vibratory motion connected in some way with and probably emanating from the ether. Science does not as yet attempt to explain the nature of the phenomenon known as cohesion, which is the principle of molecular attraction, nor chemical affinity, which is the principle of atomic attraction, nor gravitation, the greatest mystery of the three. That's right. They don't know what causes gravity. It's one of those facts that a lot of people find that a lot of people just don't know. I've said that to a lot of people before. They're like, really? I didn't know that. It is a bit odd when you think about it, you know. All our technological achievements and everything else, we still, as far as they tell us, we still don't know exactly what causes gravity, which is the principle of attraction by which every particle or mass of matter is bound to every other particle or mass. These three forms of energy are not as yet understood by science, yet the writers incline to the opinion that these two are manifestations of some form of vibratory energy, a fact which the Hermeticists have held and taught for ages past. The universal ether, which is postulated by science without its nature being understood clearly, is held by the Hermeticists to be but a higher manifestation of that which is erroneously called matter. That is to say, matter at a higher degree of vibration, and is called by them the ethereal substance. The Hermeticists teach that this ethereal substance is of extreme tenuity and elasticity, and pervades universal space, serving as a medium of transmission of waves of vibratory energy such as heat, light, electricity, magnetism, etc. The teachings are that the ethereal substance is a connecting link between the forms of vibratory energy known as matter. They're known as matter on one hand and energy or force on the other, and also that it manifests a degree of vibration in rate and mode entirely on its own. Scientists have offered the illustration of a rapidly moving wheel, top, or cylinder to show the effects of increasing rates of vibration. The illustration supposes a wheel, top, or revolving cylinder running at a low rate of speed. We will call this revolving thing the object in following out the illustration. Let us suppose the object moving slowly may be seen readily, but no sound of its movement reaches the ear. The speed is gradually increased. In a few moments, its movement becomes so rapid that a deep growl or low note may be heard. And it's just like a synthesizer. You have an oscillator and a synthesizer. When you have a small amount of current going through it, it oscillates very slowly and produces a low tone. And the more voltage that you put into the oscillator, the faster that it oscillates and spins, and the higher pitch you get, and the thinner the sound wave is. So the higher pitch you have, the faster a vibration that you have, and then once you have you're reaching such a high speed, you get to the point where human ear can't even pick it up anymore. In a few moments, its movement becomes so rapid that a deep growl or low note may be heard. Then, as the rate is increased, the note rises on the musical scale. Do you guys remember that time Lynn Horowitz did his concert for the living water with the Lucifer note, and we did the concert for the living brown water? I did that shit on Oracle, dude. That was one of the most epic things I've ever done. And played the brown tone on the air. Got my synthesizer and plugged it into the board and started hitting all the low, like, you know, Taurus bass notes. People said their dogs were shitting themselves and stuff in their houses. That was greatness. A concert for the living brown water. That was epic. That shit went out over radio too. Then as the rate is increased, the note rises one in the musical scale. Then the motion being still further increased, the next highest note is distinguished. Then one after the other, all the notes of the musical scale appear, higher and higher, rising higher as the motion is increased. Finally, when the motions have reached a certain rate, the final note perceptible to human ears is reached, and the shrill, piercing shriek dies away, and silence follows. No sound is heard from the revolving object, the rate of motion being so high that the human ear cannot register the vibrations, just as I was saying. Then comes the perception of rising degrees of heat. Then, after quite a time, the eye catches a glimpse of the object becoming a dull, dark, reddish color. As the rate increases, the red becomes brighter. Then, as the speed is increased, and the red melts into an orange. Then the orange melts into a yellow, and then follow successively the shades of green, blue, indigo, and finally violet. As the rate of speed increases, then the violet shades away and all colors disappear, the human eye not being able to register them. But there are invisible rays emanating from the revolving object. The rays that are used in photography and other subtle rays of light then begin to manifest the peculiar rays known as the X-rays, etc. As the constitution of the object changes, electricity and magnetism are emitted when the appropriate rate of vibration is attained. When the object reaches a certain rate of vibration, its molecules disintegrate and resolve themselves into the original elements or atoms. Then the atoms, following the principle of vibration, are separated into the countless corpuscles of which they are composed. And finally, even the corpuscles disappear, and the object may be said to be composed of the ethereal substance. Science does not dare to follow the illustration further. But the Hermeticists teach that if the vibrations be continually increased, the object would mount up the successive states of manifestation and would in turn manifest the various mental stages and then on upward until it would finally re-enter the all, which is absolute spirit. The object, however, would have ceased to be an object long before the stage of ethereal substance was reached. But otherwise, the illustration is correct in so much as it shows the effect of constantly increased rates of modes in vibrations. Yes. That's why I can't stand it. Can't stand it. When people feel the need to just walk around constantly all the time exuding negative vibes, I just cannot stand it. It drives me batshit crazy, and it always has. Cannot stand it. I don't know why people feel the need to live like that. I don't know how you can call that living anyway. Just going through every day, just exuding negativity and hate to people for just no good reason at all. But it doesn't even have to be that way. I mean, we can all, increase. Because don't forget that vibe is short for vibration. When somebody says, "Oh man, I don't like that person, I'm getting a bad vibe," well, you're getting a bad vibration. Your spidey sense, your vibrations are picking up on their negative vibrations and reacting in a bad way. That's what it means by, getting good vibes or bad vibes. It must be remembered in the above illustration that at the stages at which the object throws off vibrations of light, heat, etc., it is not actually resolved into those forms of energy, which are much higher in the scale, but simply that it reaches a degree of vibration in which those forms of energy are liberated, in a degree, from the confining influences of its molecules, atoms, and corpuscles, as the case may be. These forms of energy, although much higher in the scale than matter, are imprisoned and confined in the material combinations by reason of the energies manifesting through and using material forms, but thus becoming entangled and confined in their creations of material forms, which, to an extent, is true of all creations, the creating force becoming involved in its creation. But the Hermetic teachings go much further than do those of modern science. They teach that all manifestation of thought, emotion, reason, will, or desire, or any mental state or condition are accompanied by vibrations, a portion of which are thrown off and which tend to affect the minds of other persons by induction. This is the principle which produces the phenomenon of telepathy, mental influence, and other forms of the action and power of mind over mind, with which the general public is rapidly becoming acquainted, owing to these wide dissemination of occult knowledge by the various schools, cults, and teachers along these lines at this time. Every thought, emotion, or mental state has its corresponding rate and mode of vibration, and by an effort of the will of the person or of other persons, these mental states may be reproduced just as a musical tone may be reproduced by causing an instrument to vibrate at a certain rate, just as color may be reproduced in the same way. By a knowledge of the principle of vibration as applied to mental phenomenon, one may polarize his mind at any degree he wishes, thus gaining a perfect control over his mental states, moods, etc. In the same way, he may affect the minds of others, producing the desired mental states in them. In short, he may be able to produce on the mental plane that which science produces on the physical plane, namely vibrations at will. This power, of course, may be acquired only by the proper instruction, exercises, practice, etc. The science being that of mental transmutation and is one of the branches of the Hermetic art. A little reflection on what we have said will show the student that the principle of vibration underlies the wonderful phenomenon of the power manifested by the masters and the adepts, who are able to apparently set aside the laws of nature, and who in reality are simply using one law against another, one principle against others, and who accomplish their results by changing the vibrations of material objects or forms of energy, and thus perform what are commonly called miracles. As one of the old Hermetic writers has truly said, he who understands the principle of vibration has grasped the scepter of power. And that's the end of chapter 9. Chapter 10 is our next one. Polarity, chapter 10. That'll be the next chapter we get in. And that's absolutely true. Everything, the original thought, pure thought that created everything in material reality started out as a vibration, as a thought. Music, our words, everything, all these things are vibrations. And we haven't yet learned to even harness the power of these things. Mainly because, again, we're being kept in spiritual bondage and in arrested development by this elite who thinks we're children and thinks we don't deserve to have this. But in reality, they just don't want to lose their they don't want to lose their gig, man. They don't want to lose their power structure. That's what's keeping them in charge. TheGlobalReality.com. That's www.theglobalreality.com is my website. I want to thank everybody for being here with us tonight and tuning in and continue to support the network and the broadcast, what we're trying to do here. Again, this is our fundraising week. Final fundraising day is tomorrow. Need $300 in here to pay the bills, folks. Let's get that in here and let's get this done so we can push this forward into 2012. I will be live tomorrow with our 2011 wrap-up show. So I hope you guys will join me for another live edition of the Global Reality tomorrow. Chip and banner and donate button is there. We do need your support, folks. Please help us out if you can. My name is Josh Reeves, and I love each and every one of you. And we'll see you next time. You guys have a great one.